a full assault of bullets. Karate offers little defense against automatic weapons. It's a good point. They're not faster than a bullet. Although that one guy did catch bullets in his teeth, so now maybe he's the exception to the rule now. Okay, so we gotta, he could beat up bulls and catch bullets. Another thing to think about is legitimizing the occult. It is always wrong to use occult practices in a church to legitimize them in the minds of the impressionable. If martial arts are acceptable, so are the attending elements: occult meditation, firewalking, employing Hindu nail beds, etc. Unfortunately, the martial arts are simply another form of Eastern mysticism that has crept into the Christian church along with other New Age pagan practices and beliefs. Another thing, paranoia. He's speaking from experience. Many karate students often exhibit the exact opposite of what Jesus promised his disciples. Instead of peace, calm, love, joy, they are consumed with fear, imagining everyone as their potential enemy. This can and does foment to a point of paranoia. Again, the fear of man bringeth a snare. Martial arts does not promote the fear of God. It promotes the fear of man. Some other important questions to consider. Does the end really justify the means, or do the means determine the end? Is filling our church auditorium with people a pure enough motive, regardless of the message they see and hear? Obviously not. A little leaven at the whole lump. Did Jesus seek to only draw large crowds? Obviously the answer is no. Several times after performing actual miracles, not mere strongman stunts, he even told people not to even tell others. Remember, many of the greatest miracles were done in relatively private settings, or only before a small number. He walked on water in a solitary place, only before a few. When he turned the water into wine, no one but the servers really knew it. There was no big demonstration. No one called for all to come and see the signs and wonders. Though some of the Lord's healings were done in public, many were performed in relative privacy, like the healing of Jairus' daughter, the deliverance of the Gadarene, etc. The fact is, when the biggest crowds were present, he would usually teach them, not demonstrate what he could do. Can you imagine, again, Jesus breaking boards and stuff like that? Give me a break. How unlike today's cheap, shallow, circus-like karate demonstrations for Christ. So what about using martial arts as an exercise? Because this is the big justification. This is how they justify yoga as well. And we're going to be talking about yoga next week, Lord willing. Many Christians have been seduced by the exercise aspect of karate, yoga, etc. Where will it lead? Eventually, those who embark on the karate journey will inevitably be overcome by spiritual aspects of it as well. The two sides of karate, the physical and the spiritual, are so closely intertwined as to make them inseparable. Absolutely. That's what the karate masters say too. Can't accuse them of being biased. To explore the one is to discover the other. There are enough non-occultic forms of exercise to take advantage of so as to leave us without excuse here. I mean, in other words, there's other ways you could exercise and not have to participate in some occult activity. The whole concept and practice of martial arts contradicts Christianity. It is at once occult, fleshly, man-serving, Christ-denying. It is in fact anti-Christian in spirit, philosophy, and practice. Smashing bricks, breaking boards opposes the example of Christ. The Bible says of him that Christ was of a meek and lowly and a contrite spirit, and that we're supposed to follow that example. He says, "Come follow me," remember? I'm meek and lowly. The ultimate goal of karate is not mere physical but spiritual enlightenment. Occultism. It is a veritable spider's web seeking to ensnare the unwary, the ignorant, and the self-confident who believe they can dabble in the devil's web of occultism and not become its prey. It's impossible to do. Dear reader, please consider these warnings and remember the Apostle Paul's admonishing, lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, 2 Corinthians 2:11, and we're going to end part 1 there, and we'll go to part 2 next.